By fan request, are you having that occasion, like a tailgate party or a gathering, where you need to come up with some really cool ideas? We've got your app for that. Thank you for checking out the Anodized Chef. I am Chef Steve, and today we are going to work on 3 different appetizers. We've got the Atomic Bites, we've got Scallops and Bacon, and we've got Bruschetta or Bruschetta, however you want to pronounce it, but we'll get into that a little bit later. The first thing we're going to do is let's go through our list of ingredients with the Atomic Bites. I have fresh jalapeno peppers, little smoked sausages, the little smokies, bacon strips cut in half, and I picked up some pre-sliced cheddar cheese. The reason why I bought the pre-sliced stuff is it's easy to fold and tuck right into the jalapeno. You can cut your own cheese up if you want, but it's just regular cheddar cheese. The story behind these things is my buddy Chuck came to our fantasy football draft last week, and he brought these with him, so it's a great tailgate item as well. But I asked him to share the recipe, and he was a little hesitant because he's cheap like that, but that's okay because I can break stuff down pretty good and figure out exactly what's in them. So what I've done is I'm going to give you my version of these Atomic Bites here. And it's a jalapeno pepper that we're going to split in half. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get some gloves, because I have had an experience personally where if you don't cover your hands, you could be asking for trouble, because jalapenos have a lot of natural oil in them that will stay with you if you have any sores or open wounds on your fingers or any other sensitive parts of your body, say involving the men's room. So that's why you might want to call me a pansy, but that's perfectly fine. I'm okay with that. I'm going to go ahead and be able to handle life's experiences without pain. Thank you very much. All right, so let's get in here with these jalapenos, and all we're going to do is we're going to cut them in half, and we're going to de-seed them. And I've got a teaspoon here. It's real easy to de-seed them. We just go right down the line here and just scrape them with the inside of the teaspoon, and it pulls the seeds right out. And we're going to do that with as many of these as you want to make. And the great thing about these appetizers is, like I said in the beginning, it's really for any occasion. And this is the perfect time of year to be doing an appetizer episode, because we have, you've got football in full swing, hockey's in full swing, we've got, we've got holidays coming up, Thanksgiving, we've got Christmas, things like that. So these are perfect to bring to events as well. So I really appreciate the fan request for more appetizers. Now you can also pair this episode with what we've done in the past with the tailgate crocks, the crock pots, and really kind of blow out a nice tailgate party with these football games. So as you can see, I'm just taking these and I'm scraping the inside of the seeds out. And those are really the hottest part. And one of the things I was really surprised at is when I saw the fresh raw jalapenos wrapped in bacon, I'm thinking, wow. And then the name is a little intimidating too, the Atomic Bites. I'm thinking, wow, these things are going to be nasty. And they really weren't. They were, I would say, I'm not going to lie to you and say they're not hot. They have a bite to them. But they're about as hot as a good solid buffalo wing. It's, excuse me. I think it's half as bad as if you were to eat it raw. All right, so now we've got them split and we've got them seeded. So now we're going to take a piece of cheddar cheese, fold it in half, and tuck it right on the bottom. Now, one of the things that I found when you make these is no real way to prevent some of the cheese from oozing out the sides of this. So I'm going to try to continue to work on this recipe and try to perfect it, because I'd like to keep a little more cheese inside there. So what I'm doing is I folded the cheese in half, and I'm stacking a little smoky on top. And let's line the bacon up and I'll show you what we're going to do next. I'm just going to lay the bacon right out, put the smoky in there, and roll it just like that, in a nice little stack. And then you take a toothpick that you have readily available and you pick it right through. And there you go. And then what we're going to do is, when we're done, we'll set this up and we'll put it in a roasting pan. And you want to put it in something that has a high side, because, like I said, the cheese kind of leaks out. You don't want it to spill all over your oven floor, so you want to get it in a pan that has, like a cake baking pan or a cookie sheet with a lip on it is fine. So we're going to go ahead and continue to roll these. We'll These were so delicious. I was kind of worried, like I said, about the heat, and then I said, well, we'll give it a shot. And then I ended up eating like 4 or 5 of them that day. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to stick these, and I've got them in these little casserole dishes here. I'm going to stick them right in a casserole dish, and I'm going to bake them in a 350 oven, and they're probably going to take about 15-20 minutes. So when you get to the party, if you want to bake them when you get to the party, make sure you give yourself enough time to put them in the oven before the event. Otherwise, you can bake them ahead, kind of hold them hot and bring them that way. But like I said, the biggest goal is to make sure you give yourself that ample time in the oven, because they are going to take probably about 20 minutes. You want the bacon to be crispy. 350, 375 in the oven is fine, and but just try not to overcook them. And remember, the cheese is going to ooze out, so you want to make sure you have a pan with the sides on it. We're going to get right into the scallops and bacon, and the ingredients that I have for the scallops and bacon are scallops and bacon. I have some unseasoned breadcrumbs, and I have some edge, and then I have the toothpicks again. And yes, bacon, I love bacon. Bacon's a great appetizer. So in this way here, the great thing too is the reason why I'm showing you both of these appetizers is because they're 2 totally different appetizers, but you're utilizing the same kind of product, you know, with the bacon. So, just a little versatility in your refrigerator, and they're 2 totally different things. So I've got the unseasoned breadcrumbs, and I'm just going to add a little bit of the edge to it. And really, I've got, if you want to take measurements, I've got about 2 cups of breadcrumbs, even though I'm not really going to need all that. And I just put in probably about 1.5 tablespoons of edge. You want to mix that up. And then I'm going to take the scallops, and I got the fresh, I think they're 20/30s is the size, which means they're 20 to 30 per pound. So they're you know, a good medium-sized scallop. And then there's that tendon on the scallop that you want to take off of there. So you just kind of peel it with your fingers. And a lot of people leave it on there, and that's fine, but I'm kind of one of those guys that likes to have the toughness off the scallop and keep it completely separate. So just take a few minutes and go through, and it's one of those details that, you know, put you ahead of the pack. If you're paying attention to any of that stuff, you want to do the right thing and give somebody a nice, classy appetizer. Take a few minutes and do that, and you're not really losing that much of the scallop by taking it off of there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we'll put the scallops right in the breadcrumbs. And the reason why I do breadcrumbs, I've seen people do scallops and bacon without breadcrumbs. Most people do it that way. I like to add the breadcrumbs for a couple of reasons. Because we're going to pan fry these suckers anyway. It's going to help to retain some of the moisture, because the outside of the scallop gets crispy. And it adds a little bit of body to the scallop, so it gives the illusion that it's actually a bigger scallop than you're really giving them. So there's a couple of different reasons why I like to do that. Plus the flavor aspect of it. Anything breaded and fried is delicious. So now we're going to lay our bacon out much the same way we did the atomic bites, but I highly recommend that you buy a thicker bacon than me and not be a cheapskate. You don't have to get the thickest cut, but definitely you want to get something that has a little bit of body to it. And clearly I was very cheap in buying this bacon. And so we're just going to lay this out, and we're going to roll our scallops right through the breadcrumbs and then lay them. And notice how I lined up the bacon all in a row. And what we're going to do is just kind of toss the scallops in the breadcrumbs. And it doesn't have to be a heavy batter. You just want to lightly coat them. And I think the biggest reason why I like to do it, like I said a few minutes ago, is that it retains the moisture in the scallop. When you fry it, a lot of that seafood juice inside the scallop doesn't come out into the oil. It actually stays inside the little nugget of flavor there. So, and there we go. Pre-mades all in a row. So now we're going to take the bacon, just overlap it. And again, these are half-cut bacon. I basically cut the package of bacon right in half the long way. So now each piece is actually 2 scallops per slice. And you do the same thing that you did with the atomic bites. You just kind of roll it around and you pick it. And you want to pick it right where the edge of the bacon meets. So let me get in close with Bob here. Right where the edge of the bacon, there's the flap of bacon, you want to pick it right there. So that way there, when you're frying it, that little flap doesn't fold over and open up and have everything fall apart on you. Which with this cheap bacon, it's probably going to anyway, but that's okay. We'll work with it. But like I said earlier, you don't have to get the thickest cut of bacon, but just get something with a little integrity. Something that's going to hold up better than this. So what I've done is I've set up my stove here with some oil. Now let's talk about, we're gonna pan fry them, but let's talk about a couple of different ways that you can do this. If you've got one of those countertop fryers, you can do, that's the best way to do it. So you want to heat that oil up to 350 degrees, put the scallops in a little basket, drop them down, let them go. I'm doing them to pan fry just to show you that there's other ways to do it, just in case you don't have one of those fryer-lators at home. So what we've done is, the best way to tell if the oil is hot, you've probably seen this on prior episodes, is to just sprinkle a little breadcrumbs on there, and then you watch the sizzle in the pan, and that's how you know the oil is hot enough to go in there. And that's the best way to tell. So if you feel more comfortable putting them in a spoon and dropping them in slowly, that's fine. But I'm just going to lay them in one at a time. And it's going to get really loud in here, and I apologize in advance, but I'll raise my voice so you can hear me. But when everybody's in the pool, it's a party. All right. And I got my trusty slotted spoon handy to give them a flip over so we can draw on the other side. But they take probably about, I'd say about 5 minutes. This is the best way to do it. You can do them in the oven. It's a little bit healthier because you'll take a little bit more of the bacon fat off of there, and there'll be a little bit more nutrient. I mean, you're still eating bacon, but it is a healthier option. But I find that they just don't get as crispy, especially with the breadcrumbs. If you want to do it in the oven instead of frying, I would leave the breadcrumbs step out, and I would just wrap the scallop in the bacon and then bake them in the oven, and that'd be fine too. I've actually done a lot of events where that's the way that they wanted to do it. They lay them out on these big sheet pan and just bake them. But I think that they come out so much better, so much crispier, so much more flavorful when you actually fry them. And one of the things that I have handy is I have a plate lined with paper towels, just so we can drain that oil off of the scallops when they come out. We want to make sure that we're giving them a place to kind of dry and get less. Now I'm going to give that just another minute. You want to try to make sure you brown all sides. And the technique with pan frying, let's talk a little bit about it. And again, I've done this in prior episodes as well. But you want to have the oil as high in the pan so it goes about halfway up the side of the meat. And that's the best way to pan fry. And these are perfect. We're going to pull these out now. Just drop them right on that paper towel. Oh yeah. And now it's quieting down, which is nice. All right, so we'll let these cool down just a little bit. I'm going to tidy this area up and we'll switch into the third appetizer. That's it. That's all there is to it with these guys. So we've moved our scallops aside, and we're going to get into the last segment of our appetizer, the third appetizer, and that's the bruschetta, or bruschetta is the correct way to say it. But primarily what it is it's a salad that goes on top of grilled or roasted bread. And that salad can consist of many different things. You can have olives in there, you can have, primarily it's tomatoes, basil, olive oil, garlic, and maybe a little bit of onion. But you can put a lot of different things. Some people put cucumbers in it, some people put diced celery in it. I'm just a straightforward standard guy. I like garlic and tomatoes, and I like the fresh garden tomatoes. This is the end of the summer now when we're shooting this. So the tomatoes are perfect, and that's really what you're trying to draw those flavors from, that tomato, because the tomato's going to break down. It's going to give you a lot of flavor. I like red onion because it has a little bit more of a bite to it, and fresh basil, and hopefully your basil is better than mine because mine is starting to turn a little brown. But it's fine. It's just not as green. Yours will be a lot more green than mine will be. And then I've got fresh minced garlic. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to show you how to make garlic bread, and that's going to be the foundation for our salad, and then we'll build that salad together. So what I have is a bread loaf, a sub roll, or a French roll, whatever you want to get at the grocery store is fine. You're going to split it in half the long way so you can lay it out like garlic bread. I have 2 sticks of butter melted already, and then I've got some garlic, some Parmesan cheese, some fresh chopped parsley, and some edge. And that's really it. That's the basis for our garlic butter foundation. So we're going to take probably about 2 cloves of garlic into the 2 sticks of butter, and we're going to take probably about 2 teaspoons of Parmesan cheese. We want to save some of that Parmesan. We're going to put some of that on top of the bruschetta bread when it comes out. Then probably about a teaspoon or so of chopped parsley, and about a half a teaspoon of the edge. That's it. And that's our garlic butter. Now, the thing I love about it is it's so much flavor, and you've got everything you need right in there. And you can actually make this garlic bread, and this is our house garlic bread here at the restaurant, and I can eat this all day, and I feel like I'm putting on weight because of that one reason. So I'm a big bread guy, and an Italian restaurant's not really the place to be. But now what I'm doing is I'm just brushing the garlic butter, and you can see how it's already melted, and that bread is just soaking that butter right in. But the flavors are all there, the cheese is sitting there, and the garlic is in there as well. And what I'm doing is I'm saturating, and you can go a little heavy on that butter too. And you've actually got enough butter here to do this one more round if you want to, or you can save that garlic butter and cook some pasta, toss some pasta, it's phenomenal. So what we'll do now is, here's our garlic bread. Now, there's two ways that you can do this from here. You can take this, and personally, the best way to do it is if you've got an outdoor barbecue, a charbroiler, just hit the top for 10 seconds on the charbroiler. Take it off, it gives it a good roast mark, good grill mark right across the bread, and that's awesome because then it gets crispy, and you also get a little bit of that smoky outdoorsy flavor, which I'm a huge fan of. Or you could do this along with all of your other appetizers that we're going to be finishing in the oven, like those atomic bites. You can put this right on a tray and just bake the garlic bread right off, and while that's baking, we're going to toss that salad together. So the garlic bread is in the oven. Now we're going to get right into the salad. And what I've got here for the salad part of it, again, I like to keep it simplistic. So I've got the diced, I've got a mix of Roma and fresh garden tomato. And this actually came from the family farm. So I've got a mix of that here, diced, and it's really kind of I would say about an 1/8 inch or a 1/4 inch, almost minced. It's really, really small. And you want it small because we're going to cut the bread into thin strips, appetizer style, and you want that salad to kind of fit on there. I've seen this done, I've seen bruschetta done in a couple different ways. People have actually sliced the tomato and baked it with some cheese right on top. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can do it. And if you just look it up, if you do on a search engine, just type in bruschetta, you'll be able to find a whole bunch of great ideas. Some people put artichokes in it, some people roast their garlic, and it's all different, really, really creative ways. You can put, crab meat on top and really make it a nice little hors d'oeuvre. So, but anyway, I've got about, I'd say about a cup of diced tomatoes here, and that should be enough for what we're doing here. And then what I'll do is I'll take about a 1/3 of a cup of diced red onion, diced about the same thickness as the tomato, real small. And then I've got some fresh minced garlic here, and we're going to throw about a clove, I would say, right in there. About a clove of garlic right in there is fine. And then I want the fresh basil. So let's see, again, about 1/3 of a cup of fresh basil. And then we'll just dust it with the edge. You only probably want maybe a 1/2 teaspoon of the edge. You don't want this to be too salty because actually the salt will bring the flavor on the tomatoes, but you don't want to kill it either, so you've got to be very careful. So then now what we'll do is we will take our olive oil, and we're going to drizzle maybe about, I would say about 1/4 of a cup of olive oil. You don't want to be too saturated, but you want it enough to make a salad out of it. And then we're just going to toss it. And make sure you break that bunch of garlic up. You don't want that all in one bite. You want the love to be spread throughout. So you just mix it up. And that, my friends, is a slamming salad. You can take this. I've done this for catered events. I've taken this salad and I've just boiled some pasta, and you know how I don't rinse the pasta, I keep it hot? I'll take this and I'll drizzle olive oil on the pasta, and I'll throw this right on top of it, maybe with a little pinch of extra garlic and some Asiago cheese over the top. Oh man, this salad right into the pasta, because what happens is the heat of that pasta kind of breaks the tomatoes down, the tender tomatoes down a little bit more, so they get real soft, almost cooking them. And then all the juice comes out of the tomatoes. It's like a homemade marinara sauce. But it's super garden fresh. It's delicious. So okay, so that's it on the salad. Now what I'll do is I'll take some garlic bread. It's already cooked, and we're going to start plating the appetizers here. So what I've done is I got the garlic bread here, and I'm just going to cut it into thin strips, just like this. Nice and crisp. Let's get our appetizer platter going here. And we're going to set some garlic bread pieces up here, and then what we'll do is we'll just spoon them right on top, spoon the salad right on top of the garlic bread, real low roasted. And it's okay if it spills off to the side because it just gives you much more of an experience to grab a spoon and pick it up. And a lot of people are going to go digging for this stuff. They're like, hey, I don't want to be cheapened from all this flavor here. And that's what it looks like when it's all done. And then what we're going to do, now normally you kiss it with either Asiago or Parmesan, and I've got the Parmesan readily available, so I'm just going to dust the top with some extra Parmesan cheese. And that is your finished bruschetta. So what I'll do now is I'll top it with the rest of the appetizers. We'll fill this appetizer plate up and then we'll get into the drink. Okay, so we have our nice crispy scallops and bacon waiting to be eaten. We have our bruschetta bread topped with our simple salad. And we have our atomic bites with the jalapenos, the cheddar cheese, the little smokies wrapped in bacon as well. 3 great appetizers. A couple of them something a little bit different, something different and exciting to have at your next gathering, next event. I would prefer to have something like this at a tailgate party, so Bob chose very wisely a great beer to go with the tailgate food, as I'm going to call it today, and it's Fuller's Honeydew Ale. It's brewed with honey, and it's actually from London. It's a British beer, and I got to sneak a little taste of it before we actually took this shot. And my first reaction to it right away was, oh man, put some buttermilk in this and soak some chicken in it to fry. That'd be amazing. Because it's sweet, but it's very, very subtly sweet. It's not in your face. It's not like a but it's got a real nice smooth drink, and we're gonna go ahead and try to pour it and see what it looks like. Look at that. Look at the golden color in there. Nice little head on it as well. But it's such a smooth beer. Oh man. Oh, this is so good. Well, this brings us to this part of the story. Thank you very much for joining us in our magic, our madness, and our mayhem. We will see you next time.